briefing for contract 2609, 1403, tree pruning and associated services. My name is Elise Anderson and I'm the tender manager responsible for this tender. We've set aside an hour for this briefing, including time for any follow-up questions you may have afterwards. If I could ask everyone to kindly put yourself on mute and hold off any questions until the end of the presentation, that will be appreciated. Please note this is also being recorded and that will be available on our website. Please feel free to use the chat to post your questions throughout the presentation and I will address them at the end of the session. Kindly note a copy of this presentation will be made available after today. Thank you for joining. Now, slide 2 is acknowledgement of country. I'd like to start with acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands, their elders past, present and emerging. In doing so, we acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who have a deep cultural, spiritual and historical connection to country. Thank you. The next slide. So why are we here today? Today is our purpose is to offer you an overview of the upcoming tender and to seek your valuable feedback as industry experts on both the tender itself and its specifications. To the next slide. So what are we looking from you today? We are looking for your feedback on our current specification. Your insights are quite valuable in ensuring the relevance and quality of this tender. Therefore, we welcome any suggestions for new components. Secondly, your tender participation. So I hope after this briefing you do submit. If you find you're unable to participate in this tender, greatly appreciate your feedback as to why this opportunity doesn't appeal to you. Understanding your perspective and your input helps us to refine our processes and ensure future opportunities are better aligned with your requirements. Please keep in mind more specific details will be provided on the work required once the member engages with you. And at times you may need to provide quotes to members under this deed. Now let's start through the next slide and I'll walk you through our agenda today that's on the screen. First, I'll give you an overview of Procurement Australia and what we do as a business. Secondly, we'll focus on the contract overview, the tender scope, structure and process to give you an understanding of the key details of the contractual obligations and important aspects of this tender. Next, we'll discuss how to work under this contract. I'll share some tender hints to help streamline our approach and maximise your chances of success. And lastly, we'll open the floor to any questions or clarifications you may need. So over to the next slide. So Procurement Australia, this is the overview. I'm just going to talk to this slide. So to give you an overview, we're a national procurement solutions provider with a member base of approximately 24,000 entities. This membership consists of organisations from structures such as public, private, not-for-profit, education, health, aged care and religious church institutions. Just pop you, if you could just pop yourself on mute. Now, the next slide here is our history. As you can see, we go back a while. We were established by the City of Melbourne in 1985 and was known as the MAPS Group. Our organisation has undergone significant growth over the years and has allowed us to provide services to all governments and industries. Moving down to 2007, we acquired Church Resources, a specialist aggregator for the not-for-profit sector, as part of our strategic move to diversify our offerings and allow us to better serve a broader spectrum of our members. Now, so today, we proudly operate under the name Procurement Australia. And to the next slide. So a summary of the services we provide to our members are, publicly tendered standing offer contracts, bespoke client contracts, advisory consultancy, back-to-base online trading facilities, and direct supplier standing offers. A lot of that may not mean a lot now, but it will if you're a successful contractor. And to those who are currently attending and are contractors with us, you will be familiar with this. Over to the next slide. At Procurement Australia, we are dedicated to maintaining the utmost standards of quality for our member. We take pride in our ISO accreditation outlined on the screen. We serve as a testament to our unwavering commitment to excellence across facets of our operations. Moving to the next slide. Now, here you see benefits to our members. Now, in the left-hand side box, time and resource saving. This eliminates need for repetitive requests for tenders. We also save our members both valuable time and resources. Now, broad product offering. We provide our members a wide range of options with access to approximately 25 contracts spanning various offerings from bulk fuels, mobile bins, and of course, tree services. We ensure our members have a wide range of options at their disposal. And of flexible contract arrangements, members have the option to opt in at any time during contract terms. So opt-in means using your services under the contract if you're successful. Now, lastly, a compliant process conducted by Procurement Australia. Our members can rest assured that our process undergoes is quite strictly aligned with the public sector tendering requirements. Now, moving on to the next slide, where we talk to benefits to our suppliers, which we hope is you. Now, first benefit is a reduced number of requests for tenders. So by partnering with Procurement Australia, suppliers benefit from a streamlined procurement process that significantly reduces the need of the requests for tenders, therefore improving allocation and operational efficiency. So the next thing is access to Procurement Australia members. You're going to be able to get access to an extensive member network. This provides opportunities to showcase your products and services to our very diverse member base. This can foster your business growth and market expansion. Now, our dedicated sales team at Procurement Australia are continuously working to expand our member base. So you have them in the background supporting you, and they ensure a robust pipeline of potential clients for suppliers. They actively promote existing contracts to our members to maintain ongoing interest and visibility for the products and services offered by suppliers. Now over to the next slide. Now we're getting into it. We've got the contract overview. This is why you're here today. So as you can see, the tree pruning and associated services is the name of the contract. I've outlined the tender number. The term is for 2 years. with potential for 2 12-month extension options. We're looking to kick this off and start this contract the 1st of October and will end the 30th of September 2026. This tender or this contract is available only in the states of New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia. So the draft specifications are still under review, but a copy will be available upon request. So I will, as you can see, I've got my email address on the screen there. So let me know at the end of this briefing whether you seek this information. Closing date for comments or suggestions about the current draft specification closes on the 7th of June. Any feedback or suggestions coming back from you as industry experts is highly appreciated. My contact details are shared later on if you don't get this in time. Over to the next screen. The tender objectives. So our objectives are to focus on ensuring we deliver a public sector compliant tender process. We're all about quality. We're aligning our processes with the Local Government Act. We're relevant and ISO 9001 standards. When it comes to the outcome of contracts, our main goal is to provide the members of Procurement Australia with highly skilled contractors who can handle whatever their needs are. We want to make sure our members have access to the best talent out there. We provide a centrally managed standing offer contract that also allows for request for quote activity at any time. Lastly, we will be doing some groundwork to pre-qualify vendors. So this means we'll be making sure they meet certain standards before they get involved in the contract. It's all about making sure members have access to reliable vendors or suppliers, no matter what stage of the contract they're in. So most importantly, we're aiming for compliance, quality, flexibility and reliability in our tender process, all to make sure our members get the best possible outcome. And over to the next slide. Now the tender scope. Now, as it states, still to be finalised. As you appreciate, the specification is also still in draft, but the categories of this full tender are as outlined on the screen. I won't read that out, as you can read that yourself, but I will walk through now the next screen, the first category. So the first category consists of pruning. So this will be of street trees, park trees and palms, bushland, trees, formative or shaping, noting all services need to be carried out under the supervision of a qualified arborist in accordance with relevant Australian standards. The next category, next screen. This category focuses on pruning trees from power lines and electrical lines. The aim is to ensure trees are clear of overhead power distribution conductors in accordance with the relevant regulations. And most importantly, due to the nature of this work, we are looking for experienced tenderers in this field to prune on overhead power lines. Any contractor who works near live lines means consulting with the relevant power company member and relevant authorities to achieve a safe working environment. So over to the next category, next screen. So again, the services under this category need to be carried out under the supervision of a qualified arborist. We're seeking contractors to supply and plant tree stock, then maintain to ensure establishment and growth. Ongoing maintenance to include watering, fertilising, mulch, weeding, staking, again, formative pruning and protection to ensure that trees thrive. Please note any tree stock purchased by the contractor must meet the standards within the specification as outlined on the screen. Tree planting and establishment as outlined here. Again, back again. Outlined on the screen have to be under the supervision of a level 3 qualified arborist. Over to the next screen. Category 5 is tree and stump removal. So this category has 2 services you can tender: removal of trees and or stumps and tree roots. So services, I know there's a lot on the screen, so services to remove the trees that are dead or for other reasons as approved by the member. Any trees that need to be removed to ground level or by clear felling has to be conducted safely under the supervision of a level 3 arborist. Sorry, a level 5 arborist. And lastly, services to remove stumps and roots above ground level and to remove mulch from this site, unless actually instructed by the member. Safety is a priority for all, and further details provided within the tender specification outlining how to meet the requirements of this category. Over to the next screen. So category 6, tree, pest and disease management. This category, the supplier is responsible for the best practice program for the control of pests and diseases that may impact the health and safety and structural integrity of trees. So the contractor will be responsible under the supervision of a qualified arborist for the following. So identification of pests and diseases, application of the appropriate herbicide, soil injection, foliar spraying and alternative treatments as instructed by the member. Over to the next screen and the last category. Members may be required to provide expert consultancy services in accordance with the standards and code of practice under the tender specification. Some of the consultancy services can include those listed on the screen. So as you can see, begins with tree assessment inspections and so forth. It is not limited just to what is on the screen. Go to the next. So evaluation award of these categories. Suppliers, as you can note, can tender for any one or a combination of categories. Evaluation will be on a category basis, and suppliers will be awarded by state or nationally. You can elect where you'd like to submit your offer. And on the right of the screen is an example of what we look for, the criteria we look for and the sub-criteria to assess your tender. Over to the next screen. Here we have different parts of the tender structure. So this is the document that will be available on Tenderlink, and the tender has 6 parts to it. So as you can see, information for tenderers will be all about what the tender is, what we seek. Conditions of tendering. So again, what we expect from you. What is a compliant tender? And part C, the deed of standing offer. So that's actually of the whole, this will form a whole contract, but that gives you the detail of what is executed between Procurement Australia and yourself. And part D is the general conditions of contract. And this is something the supplier can see. Part E is the specifications, and part F are the returnable schedules, including pricing schedules. So part F is the one where you'll be providing your response. Over to the next screen. So more to this, the returnable schedules. This is again the area you'll need to fill in. It looks quite comprehensive. There's 16 schedules, but some of these are very brief. Now we're over to the next screen. So quite simply, as your tender manager, my responsibilities include managing the tender event and overseeing all aspects of the process to ensure its smooth execution, and of course calling for tender submissions and closing the tender within the specified time frame. Summarising and evaluating received tender submissions, carefully assessing each proposal against the predefined criteria. Lastly, developing a comprehensive contract award recommendation based on the evaluation of tender submissions, ensuring alignment with the requirements and objectives of the procurement process. So over to the next slide. Here you can see the outline of the contract responsibility of this tender. I won't go into that in detail, but you can see the required actions and responsibilities on the right and who they fall to. Over to the next slide. Now the tender timeline. This is very important. So obviously we're having the industry briefing today, and it's vital to get stakeholders or potential suppliers such as yourself to share information, and we seek to address your queries relating this tender. So the RFT advertising date, we're looking to advertise the 19th of June, and again that will be through Tenderlink, and strongly encourage all parties to submit timely, because sometimes there is congestion on the day. So from lessons learned, that's usually advisable a few hours, if not earlier, on that day to submit your offer. Tender's looking to close on the 17th of July and the award of contracts the 30th of August. The contract itself starts the 1st of October. Moving to the next slide. So tender documents can be only available via Tenderlink and not direct from Procurement Australia or myself. Once tendered, questions can only again be received via the Tenderlink online forum. It's quite easy to use, and not directly to Procurement Australia. A live tender is from the tender opening date to the close date. So the last date is very important to note, for questions is the 12th of July 2024. To the next slide. So as I outlined on the screen, all documents are required to be submitted and signed by the due date. Please don't embed links into your document. If you need to attach any information, kindly attach in Word, Excel or PDF document. That would be much appreciated. Over to the next screen. So the Procurement Australia income model. Under this panel contract, the contractor is required to pay Procurement Australia a rebate in accordance with the deed. The rebate for this contract is 2% of GST free sales amount. Next screen. So how to work under this contract? If you're a successful contractor, members would like to use services, they'll log into our Procurement Australia gateway system. And once they log in, you'll usually get an email notifying you of the interest to access your services. That's just a high-level diagram. I'll move to the next screen. This is again a diagram that outlines the process from signing a contract with Procurement Australia, then how to invoice a supplier and reporting monthly rebates to Procurement Australia. Give you a moment just to see that. But again, if you're a successful supplier, the contract will speak to this. Over to the next slide. So tender hints. Obviously, we seek for you to answer each question. I really want to give you the best opportunity to submit a good response. The document itself is not intended to be complicated, is to get the information we seek from you. And if you can not refer to attachment in your answers, we would like you to state if you've attached a policy or just respond appropriately. As I also raised earlier, please don't embed documents in your tender questions, and clearly articulate your responses and demonstrate your expertise. Do not use abbreviations, noting you're the subject matter expert, and certain abbreviations I will know and the team here know, but it would be appreciated if you can articulate what you mean. Moving to the next slide. So what's next? So draft specifications are available from myself. As mentioned earlier, you can email myself. My details are on the screen. And feedback is welcomed until the 7th of June. So anything you have to reply to is a bonus for us. Now, the RFT will be available for download. As I said, this is the date of the tender let or tender advertisement on the 19th of June. So you'll need to register on Tenderlink prior to downloading this tender document. So that almost concludes our industry briefing. I'd like to offer you the opportunity to ask some questions. I'll just have a I'll look in the chat to see if there's anything that has come up. No. Just give you a couple of minutes if you want to, if anybody would like to ask any questions now. If not, feel free to contact myself up until the tender's advertised. So thank you for attending today. I look forward to your tender submission and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Elise.
Thank you.